What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be doing another edition of the Players to Watch series on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about specifically Jake Pasini and what he can do in 2023. It's been a slow build up for him across his career so far at Port Adelaide, but I'm very much looking forward to diving in and talking about what he could possibly produce this year. There's been a lot of talk about him, a lot of talk with his injury and everything that's going on, but apparently he's had a great pre-season, so I want to see exactly what he can produce this year, and that's why he's one of the players to watch 2023. We know Jake's story. We know what he's been through over the last 12 to 18 months. He's been a very prolific player, both in the Magpies and in his junior career. Now, he had a lot of promise as the big, tall, key defender. Now, as a 191 centimetre tall defender, he's not the biggest. He's not the tallest and has the reach, but he's definitely a hard worker, one that's very good one-on-one. Really, really impressive in the Magpies before getting his injury, and even since being drafted a few years back, he's definitely built himself a solid base to really launch this year, and he's been very much building a solid program, and the way that Ken has been really committed to his cause, and the way he's produced good consistent footy when he's been on the park is something that I think will give him a lot of confidence coming into this year, despite recovering from that ACL injury that he had. It was a very difficult piece of news to take, considering that he'd been in such good nick. And Ken Hinkley did say that if he didn't get injured, he was playing that North Melbourne game down in Tassie. I think it was round 9 last year. He was going to play, and that probably really hurts your confidence and how much your mind will play on you while you're injured, and you never really know if you're going to get back to your true self, your true footballing ability. And the way Jake's persisted across pre-season, seeing the training clips and the way that he's built himself this year, he's ahead of schedule, which is fantastic to see with his injury. And I think with him playing on the likes of Dixon, Georgiades, Todd Marshall, that really gives him a good solid bit of confidence that if he can beat them at training, he can almost beat anyone out in the game. And obviously the AFL landscape is a completely different kettle of fish. It does help him a lot with his comeback essentially from injury, and I think if he can get a couple of good games going in the Magpies, he'll definitely be right on the cusp of making that debut. We know he was emergency quite a few times, and the way he really put himself in Ken's eyes to be named definitely will. Once you make a name for yourself on a list, once you start building that confidence and building that reputation of your hard work, your commitment, your form especially, you never go out of someone's mind. And I think that's the way Ken coaches and the way the selection panel go about it. So once he finds his feet and gets back into full footy, he'll definitely be making a big progress into potentially debuting in 2023. And in terms of his stature and his size, it's not something I think we need in the team. He's definitely going to be a depth player early on if he can make his way through and beat out the likes of Tom Cleary, Trent McKenzie, and even go ahead of someone like Ryan Burton, which I don't think will happen. But if he's ever there to take an opportunity by an injury or anything like that, I think Pasini's a good choice to bring in. 191 centimetres is not something we really looked like we needed. We've got a lot of smallish, tall defenders going around. Leary obviously being the tall one. I think overall that's probably going to hinder his chances of getting selected. It's a negative more than a positive, as I said, besides injury, and it's not something we really need. And defensive structure-wise, we don't really have a plan that can really help our defenders with that big key forward. If they're one-on-one, they're going to get beaten. I'm thinking of the likes of Tom Hawkins, Jeremy Cameron, Darcy Fogarty from the Crows. You look at those games where they kick goals, and those were the big key forwards that definitely took advantage of our smallest defenders. And Pasini, I think, is another one that probably comes into that category. If does get the opportunity, I don't think he'll stand up to that type of caliber, but that's not putting any negative spin on it. He definitely has a role to play in the Magpies, and the club has shown faith with him, especially with his injury. And his 4th season on the list now. It's time to take that next step. I know the injury delays you a year, but you're 4 years on a football club list. If you haven't made a debut by the end of that, it kind of calls curtains. And I'm scared that if this year isn't taken the way he'd like, he'll definitely get delisted, and I don't want to see that happen for Jake. I think he's got great promise, great footballing ability, and watching him play in the Magpies, he's definitely one that will stand out from the rest, and he's unfortunately in that middle category of almost making a debut, but also definitely stuck in the Magpies. So, and that's what they call, not list cloggers, depth players. I think, yeah, he'll be one to watch. He'll definitely be one to consider in selection when it comes to that time, but he's not best 22 at the moment. And I'm just putting that positively because I think he's probably in that top 35 group of players. That's majority of the list, but he's in that 30 to 35 bracket at the moment when it comes to selection. So he'll be pushing, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what he produces this year. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below about Jake Pasini. It's going to be one to watch this year for sure. Unearthing a little talents here and there has been a kind of a specialty for Port Adelaide, I think, over the years, and he might be one that comes to the forefront and really produces a good block of football. And if he does that, he's going to get his opportunity. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. A lot of exciting announcements to come. AFL predictions for 2023 are going to be coming very, very soon. A goal kicking challenge as well is coming next week on Monday. Be prepared for that. It's a very special one. Not this, it's not too serious. It's just a laugh. Basically a bunch of friends having a kick in the park. So make sure you watch that on Monday. It's going to be very fun indeed. And yeah, subscribe to the channel because there's plenty more to come. And I'm not going to tease it because when I announce it, you'll be absolutely frothing it. So hit that subscribe button. Nearly at 5,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, my name is Anthony, and as always, count the pair.